Greetings, makers. This is Amy with Softwind Crafting. I'm an independent demonstrator from Stampin' Up, coming from my craft room in the very tip of Texas. And today we're turning simple paper into handmade magic. So grab your supplies and let's get started. And I have been out of my craft room for quite a while. I took some kids from my school to Europe at the end of June, kind of like mid-June to the end of June. So we were gone for almost 10 days. We went to Greece and Italy, and that was extremely wearing. We were in the midst of the heat wave, the biggest heat wave they've seen, and it was extremely wearing. Came back. And it just took me some time to recover. I just had a hard time just kind of getting back into the mood for card making. I was making cards. In fact, my daughter is starting a new position as an assistant principal, and she asked me to start making some cards for her new school, and they are the Stingrays. So I've been working on some Stingray cards for her. So these are some of the cards that I've been doing. So when she wants a stingray on every single card, so that makes it kind of challenging to come up with ideas with stingrays on every single card. So trying to come up with ideas for thank you cards and birthday cards and cards for nurses appreciation and all those things. So you can see up here, you may not be able to see them, but I still have some stingrays that I've made. We only have one set, an old retired set that had a stingray. So I'm making a bunch of stingrays and then trying to find a way to incorporate them on every card. So that's kind of fun doing that, but that's what I've been using my time on doing, is making these cards for her for school. And so been having a lot of fun doing that. I'm also trying to get started. I want to have a Christmas in July at the end of this month for some friends to come over and make some cards, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see if get anyone who's interested in doing that. I don't have a lot of in-person friends well, I shouldn't say that. I do have friends. I don't have a lot of friends that like to come over and make cards. So that I don't have a lot of, let's put it this way, that like to do craft things with me in person. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if we get anybody who would like to do some Christmas cards. We'll see if that will turn around and do something special that way. But anyway, I thought I'd get on and do a card with y'all. And I'm sorry if I sound like my allergies have been really bad since I've gotten back from Europe. My husband asked if I was getting a cold. I said, no, my allergies have just been absolutely terrible since I've gotten back from Europe. So things must be blooming or going on, but yeah, this is just the season for me for allergies. So I'm sorry if I sound pretty bad, but it's just allergies. But anyway, so I thought I'd go ahead and do a card with y'all. And I do have all the stuff already cut out and actually already stamped. It's a really simple card that I wanted to share with you. And it's using a bunch of different things. So I thought we'd go ahead and get started, and let me show you what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a piece of the Crisp Cantaloupe, one of our new in colors. And this is a piece that's 11 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2. Okay, so it's like a fold top-down card. Okay, then I have a piece that is fairly blush. I think it looks so pretty with the Crisp Cantaloupe. I know a lot of people love this color combination. I do too. And this is, I believe, yeah, it's your 4 by 5 1/2, just your regular card base layer. And then what I did is I took the next layer down, the 5 by 3 3/4, and I ran it through the let me see if I find it, the Eyelet Blooms die. This was our product of the month a couple of months ago, and I tried getting online to see if it was still available, and I just could not do it. I think I would have to get in and put in for a purchase amount to see if it was still available, and I just couldn't do that. So I don't know if it's still available. It may be already sold out, and if memory serves, I think this may be sold out, but a lot of you may already have this. If you don't have it, then use an embossing folder that you already have. It doesn't even have to be something that is a die cut. It could be just a regular embossing folder. I just went ahead and used it because, believe it or not, I hadn't even used it yet. This is the first time I used it. I'm terrible about going and getting something and going, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, I want that, and then I get it, and then I put it up, and then I forget that I have it, and then I don't use it. So I grabbed this, and I'm going to make myself use it. So I ran it through, and I got this real pretty. This is going to be my layer that I'm going to put right up on top. Okay, so that's going to be the next layer. And then what I did is I used the paper from the Delicate Dreams Specialty Designer Series paper. So I am going to use this paper right here. And what I did is I cut it down to 5. So it's going to be the same size in terms of the length as my my top layer. And I cut them to 5, and I cut a piece. I went ahead and I'm doing this in order. So I have a piece that's a 1/2 inch, a piece that's a 1/4 of an inch, and another piece that's a 1/2 inch. And I kept them in order, and they may not be in order anymore, but the idea here is I want them in order so they still form kind of that picture. Okay, so they're together. They don't have to be, and you can use any DSP that you have. It doesn't even have to be DSP. You can get a piece of cardstock, you can run it through an embossing folder, then cut it up into 3 separate pieces. I also have another extra 1/4 inch I'm going to put on the inside of my envelope, or inside of my card. I also cut out one of the flowers from the DSP. And there's lots of different colors. You can use any of the colors that were on that DSP paper. So here's another color that's already there. So we can use this one as well. So whichever color you like, we'll look and decide. We have a die set from the, oh, a little tiny spider crawling on me. No. Okay, the Extraordinary Life dies. And I am going to use this frame for my to set up my the frame on the front of my card. And what I did is I cut it out again out of the crisp cantaloupe. So when you cut it out, it cuts out the frame, but it also cuts out the inside. Okay, so I'm also going to keep the inside of my frame as well. Okay, so I'm going to use both pieces. Now, if you're cutting it out, you can have it be like this, okay, and see through. Well, in fact, we'll decide. We'll make that decision when we get there, okay? And then I'm also using those dies as well. They also have like a little hexagon here with a heart, and I cut that out of basic white. Okay, and I like that little heart there, and I'm going to put that in the center. And then out of the dies for the Delicate Dreams, I cut out these little flowers, and I cut them out of hydrangea, I don't remember what it's called, hydrangea hue. And I cut out 5 of them, and I think you can cut out, there's 2 of the flowers, so I just cut out 6 altogether. Okay, so I cut that out, and then using back again, I liked this, it's like a little label, and I liked it a lot, but I didn't like how it was coming up see-through on this eyelet. So I cut it out in Barely Blush, and then I cut out a white piece, the same thing in basic white. And what I did is I just basically flipped it over, you can see that, and I just glued the other side to the back of this so that it would show up and cover up, like, so it wouldn't be so it wouldn't show through to the other side, if that makes sense. And you had a scrap. My scrap wasn't long enough, so it didn't cut off all the way, so that's why it is. But you can cut off just two, one in basic white, one in Barely Blush, and then just kind of line them up together, and then you get that two pieces. But if you like the see-through, you don't even have to do that. You can just use the piece together. And I stamped You're an Amazing Friend, and I stamped that from the Ferd and Flora. So, you know, using all the sets today, or using many as you can. Okay, and then I have a piece of basic white in 5 1/4 by 4 to go on the inside, and then another little piece of the DSP to go on the inside. Now it's still by 5, so it's not quite as long, but we're going to use it anyway. Okay, so there we go. Those are the pieces to make the card. So we're going to go ahead and start by just kind of gluing everything together. And oh, there's that spider. Oh, I'm like, where did the spider come from? It's quite an adventure to start with on the beginning day of my first day back making a video in a while. All right, so here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by gluing these onto the eyelet. I'm using my silicone craft sheet behind, because this is going to have holes, and so the glue is going to go through, so we're going to make sure it doesn't get glue everywhere. So this is going to be the same length from top to bottom, so they're going to line up evenly. So I'm going to add some glue to the back here, just a light little amount, and I'm just going to keep it kind of close to the edge. And we're just going to lay this down here. That looks pretty straight. And then we're going to do the 1/4 inch next. And just remember, if you're trying to keep this making a scene, you want to make sure that they are following the scene. And I'm giving a gap here. So I'm just giving a little gap, but I'm making sure that they're going from top to bottom. Okay, and try to keep that gap the same. Okay, and then the last piece. And look, there's a little bit of dog hair from my favorite friend. Made its way to the craft table. She's not in the room with me. She's decided the place to be in the afternoons is on her bed in the dining room. But this evening she likes to join me. Okay, so there we go. All right, so you can see it continues to make the scene. Now, you don't have to do it that way. I just kind of like, that was kind of my feeling, since the DSP was kind of like a scene. I kind of wanted to keep that scene going together. But your paper does not have to be seen. It doesn't even have to be the same DSP. You can have different DSPs. You could even use regular cardstock and just do have it embossed. So you can do different things to get that different look here, if you like. Okay, you can even sponge on top of your DSP as well. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my frame. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my frame be right here. So This would be hard to put up on dimensionals. I mean, you'd really have to cut these down, the small ones. I'm not going to go that route. I'm not going to hassle with that. I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this. Just trying to keep it a light touch. And then we'll take a look. Should we put the other piece in? Should we keep it out? Could we put it up on dimensionals? Okay, so I like this frame a lot. So this set, the Extraordinary Life set, I know a lot of people, it's like was designed really for scrapbooking, but I like it because I really liked all that. I'm really a sucker for office supplies, and that's the first thing I thought of when I said, oh, look at all those office supply type things, and I really like that. And so I thought I love to use those elements in my card making. So see what I can come up with. All right, so my next idea is to put this, do I want to put this in here straight as like this? That was my original thought. So like that, and I think I'm still going to do this idea. Now, do I want to put that up, or do I want to put it up on dimensionals? What do I think? Puffed up. Or we could do that flat and this puffed up on dimensionals. See, this is why card making takes me a long time, because it takes me so long to decide what I want to do. Do that on dimensionals. That would be cute too. Let's do that on dimensionals and leave this one down flat. Okay, so let's get this out so we can add it to glue. Okay. Oh, now one thing I could tell you, when I cut this out, okay, and I ran it through my cut and emboss machine, when I took it out, I immediately got out my detailed brush. I don't know what it's called exactly, the little brush that you add on, detailed die brush, and like there's still this one that was there. That one still stuck to the back, so it came out, and there's one there. But it did really a good job on brushing out, for the most part, the little dots on the back. So the ones that you see on here, they're really out, but they stuck to the back and then they kind of popped back in. But it really did a good job of getting out all these little dots out of the die element. So I was pretty impressed by that, because to have to poke all those pieces out would have just been horrible. But I didn't have that problem. Okay, let me add some dimensionals. I'm using the little tiny ones. I should say the smaller ones for this. And let's go ahead and get these. One more. I used my take your pick tool. It keeps them from getting all messy. I can immediately get it into the trash can. Sorry, I hit the camera as I'm trying to see as I put this down. Let's see if I can get that centered. I'm a little bit over. It's not quite. There we go. Okay. And so there we have that piece. So now what I want to do is I'm going to add this flower. And there's lots of choices in terms of flower. So, and if you don't, you can add whatever flower you want, because if you have the stamp set, the Delicate Dreams flower set, you can stamp that flower. You don't have to cut it out from the, let's see if I could find the actual stamp set. Here it is. You can stamp it out and then color whatever color you want, and then cut it out and put it on there. So you're not limited to colors in DSP, but you can put that there and then have whatever colors you want. I think this crumb cake goes so pretty with the colors here. You could also use the hydrangea blue. That also goes really pretty as well. Let's go ahead and glue that down. We're just going to put a little bit of, let's see, glued here. And I'm going to add these little flowers here in a minute, but I want to see where I'm going to put them on there. And then my label, which I've already kind of made, I'm going to put on last. So let's go ahead and glue this onto, and this could be kind of messy because there's so many different holes. So let's see how we can do this without making a huge mess. Okay. You know what? Let's try brushing it on. Let's put some on our silicone sheet. Let me grab my, I am missing, where could it possibly be? Oh no. Did it get, how could it have gotten, okay, it got knocked down. I was like, my husband gave me his silicone. I saw this, like, I don't know, several demonstrators using a craft, like a silicone baker's sheet. I don't know, baker's, I don't know, what do they would call it? I don't bake. Well, I bake, but I don't do anything fancy. I don't do any fancy baking. But a brush, silicone brush, and using it to put on their glue. And so I was talking about having to go to the Dollar Tree and get one. And my husband's like, oh, I have a silicone brush you can have. And it's huge with a huge handle, but hey, it works. So that's what I use now. And so, as we always say, use what you have. So that's what I am. I'm using that because that's what I have. All right, so it's kind of funny to have to use it because it's so huge. Let me get this out of the way. Oh, we want to put it on. I almost boo-booed there. I'm going to put it on our Barely Blush piece. Okay. And now we're going to turn this over and add it to our cantaloupe. Whoops. Just want to be careful because I have that glue all over that. I don't want to get it anywhere else before I can get that cleaned up. So I was thinking about this as being like a birthday card. So you could stamp happy birthday on the inside. Or whatever you want. Okay. So for Amazing Friend, I was thinking of bringing it like right here. Putting it right there. And then what I want to do is now use, let's see, there's something got on there. I'm using this little glue eraser, which I got off of Amazon. It works great. Okay, so now I want to put these little flowers at some different points. So I'm thinking, let's see. I'm thinking like right here, right there, and right there. Okay, so let's... And then sometimes my Take Your Pick tool is stickier than I think it is. It's a little stickier than I am wanting it to be. And there we go. And so now for the inside, I'm just going to take this. Now remember, this is not going to be as long as the inside. It's going to be just a tad shorter. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. We're going to go ahead and put this on the inside. I think it's going to go well because it matches kind of like the lines of the outside of the card. And we'll just go ahead and line that up, make sure it's centered. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a good crease with our bone folder. And there you go. And that is our card using the Delicate Whispers DSP. We're using a lot of different pieces here. We have the Extraordinary Life. We have Delicate Dreams DSP. We have this thing. And so I have a couple of other cards also using the Delicate Dreams DSP as well. Very simple cards, but so pretty. And if you place an order in my shop by the end of this month with $50 or more before shipping and handling, and after you use your Stampin' Rewards, I will send you the kits to make these 3 cards. Of course, you'll have to do your stamping yourself, but I'll send you all the pieces that you need in order to make these cards. You can use whatever stamps you have in order to stamp the cards yourselves. So, but anyway, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd appreciate being your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And if you already have one, I mean, take these ideas, go ahead and use them for your own. Make your cards and just get stamping and use whatever you have. But I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. If you like what you saw, I'd appreciate it if you click that like button. If you share, leave a comment. It really helps my channel to grow. I really would appreciate it. And hopefully now that I'm back and I'm starting to get back kind of in the rhythm of things, hopefully it'll go a little easier for the rest of the summer, and I'll let you know how Stampin' in July went with my I should say Christmas in July goes. So have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.